This is the perplexing reality of the legal friction between Blake Lively and billionaire philanthropist Steve Sarowitz. At the heart of this story is a deposition that has legal experts scratching their heads and fans wondering, what does harassment actually mean in the era of corporate feelings? Blake Lively's deposition regarding Steve Sarowitz offered something entirely different. In Lively's world, it appears that Sarowitz's mere existence as a high-ranking figure within the company structure was enough to trigger a sense of unease. She reportedly felt that his job title carried a weight that made her uncomfortable, despite the lack of direct interaction. It raises a fascinating, if slightly terrifying, question for anyone in a leadership role. Can your business card be considered a weapon if someone simply doesn't like the vibe of your company? It's like being accused of a hit and run when you don't even own a car, but you do happen to work for the Department of Transportation. But if you think the job title argument is the strangest part of this saga, wait until you hear where Steve Sarowitz actually was during the alleged incidents. To harass someone, you generally need to be in the same zip code, or, at the very least, on the same Zoom call. Blake Lively placed Sarowitz at a specific scene on set, describing a situation that contributed to her distress. There was just one small problem. Steve Sarowitz wasn't there. Legal proceedings aren't usually known for their consensus, but this case hit a rare milestone. Sarowitz provided testimony stating he was nowhere near the set during the time frame Lively described. He wasn't in the trailer. He wasn't behind the monitors. He wasn't even in the building. Lively's own legal team didn't even try to fight it. They called his testimony undisputed. How does a seasoned professional, someone used to the meticulous nature of film sets and schedules, place a man at a scene he never attended? Was it a lapse in memory? Or has the definition of harassment expanded so far that a person can now be spiritually present in a room they never entered? If the legal team admits he wasn't there and he never actually spoke to her about her concerns, it leads us to a baffling crossroads. Why, then, was he still on the list? And more importantly, what does this mean for the future of how we define workplace conflict? Lively's deposition suggests that for her, the harassment wasn't a series of events, but a state of mind. She had feelings about the company. Sarowitz, as a face of that company, became the avatar for those feelings. We've all worked for companies where the culture felt off. Maybe the CEO seemed cold, or the mission statement felt disingenuous. But usually we deal with that by updating our LinkedIn or complaining to a spouse over tacos. We don't typically label the CEO a harasser simply because their LinkedIn profile gives us the ick. By labeling corporate dissatisfaction or emotional discomfort as sexual harassment, we risk diluting the term for victims who have faced physical or verbal abuse. Sexual harassment, traditional unwanted advances, quid pro quo, hostile environments built on gendered abuse. Sexual harassment, the Lively variant, having a high-level job title at a company where an employee feels unhappy. If the bar moves from conduct to company structure, where does the litigation end? But wait, if Sarowitz wasn't there and never spoke to her, there has to be a reason his name kept popping up, right? The answer might lie in the who, rather than the what. If you're Steve Sarowitz, you're probably wondering how you ended up as a villain in a story you didn't even have a cameo in. Sarowitz is a billionaire, a founder of Paylocity, and a major philanthropist. He's a man with a lot of job titles. Sarowitz never spoke to Lively about her concerns. In his view, he was a distant figurehead. In her view, his silence was perhaps part of the problem. It's a classic case of a silent movie, where both actors are reading from a completely different script. The irony is that Lively's legal team acknowledging his absence as undisputed effectively turns Sarowitz into a ghost, a phantom harasser who managed to cause distress without ever making a sound or showing his face. So, if the facts don't fit the narrative, why does the narrative persist? And what does this tell us about the current state of Hollywood's cancel culture versus legal culture? Are we heading toward a world where the truth is whatever we feel it is? Or will the undisputed facts eventually bring us back to solid ground? What do you think? Has the definition of workplace harassment gone too far, or is company vibe a legitimate reason for legal concern? Does a job title inherently carry a level of responsibility that makes Sarowitz a fair target? Share this article with your most opinionated friend, and let's start a conversation in the comments. Let's talk about where feelings end and the law begins. Because if Steve Sarowitz is on the list today for being a title with feelings, who might be on it tomorrow? Stay curious, stay informed, and always check your alibi.